Hey, how's it going? We're gonna go live in just 1 minute. Well, we're live now, but we're starting class in 1 minute. How's it going? How's it going? My name's Kenny Graham. Thank you for being here. This is a Yin Yoga class, super mellow. I call this class Ease, and it's just about opening up mobility in the body for breathing and function in the world. So this is it. If you have a blanket or a towel, be good to have it near your mat. Block would be good, and a strap if you think you need it. So here we go. We're going to start this class just by taking 5 deep breaths in and out through the left nostril. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to use the right hand to close off the right nostril. So we're going to breathe through the left, in and out. So you can take your hand, spread your fingers, take your index finger, middle finger down. We're going to use the ring finger and thumb, and we're going to just use that thumb to close the nostril. All right, so it goes exhale fully. We're breathing in and out through the left side. Inhale left. Exhale left. Nice and slow, easy breaths. Inhale left. Exhale left. One more, inhaling into the belly, chest. And to exhale all the way out. Release the hand, pause for a moment. And just tune into your breath. So we're going to use that same hand. We're going to do 3 more breaths. Index finger, middle finger down. We're going to use the thumb, ring finger. We're going to breathe in through the left side, out through the right. So we're going to use the thumb to close the right as we inhale left. Use the ring finger to close the left as we exhale right. So when you're ready, exhale all your air. Inhale through the left. Close the left, exhale right. Really let that exhale go. Inhale left. Exhale right. Slow, easy breath. One more, nice and slow, easy. In through the left. Closing the left side, exhale through the right. And then releasing the hands down to the lap. And the path to ease requires just accepting what we feel, where we're at today. Acknowledging the sensations, the emotions, the thoughts, like it's all good. What's there is there. You might think, hey, I want to feel or think differently. So we bring a sense of kindness, compassion, breath, and pose to help us move into a place of ease. Right on. When you're ready, here we go. First pose is child's pose. So the knees can go closer together or out, or hips distance apart, feet towards each other, hips back, belly in between the thighs, or maybe even on top of the thighs. And we're just going to take 3 breaths here. Now, if this is too much for you for your knees, do this one on your back, hold your shins. I want you to think like easy with the breath. But being with it all the way in, all the way out. The mind, the thoughts will try to steal the breath. It will try to take us away from ease, from stillness. It'll say, hey, I have to be busy. But can we give ourselves permission here for this next 45 minutes just to slow it down? Come up to hands and knees. And then from here, we're going to go into the panda. Inhale, left arm up, and we twist forearm or shoulder to the floor. Right hand, you can use it for support or even wrap it around the back if that feels good for the shoulder. I'm going to keep the hand on the floor. Slow it down. Notice here where you feel the stretch. So this pose targets that tissue around the lungs, the tissue around the upper back. You might even feel it into the hips, low back. Because when we're really breathing, when we can really be with the breath, we can find more ease. So part of this practice is to use these physical postures to open up the pathways of breathing for easing. The tendency is to overbreathe, especially as things are challenging, difficult, or we're feeling fear. And sometimes that can be important. That overbreathing might be important, but we tend to do it often. And back to center. So today, we're not necessarily going to underbreathe, but we're going to slow the breath down. Right arm up. Exhale, twist, forearm or shoulder. Slow the breath down. This top arm, where do you like it? What gives you the most support? I push it down a little bit, help to increase the twist. So the pose doesn't have to be at any required depth. It's just when you meet the sensation in the tissue, can you be with it? Just being with that flow of breath in, out. Noticing even where there's restriction. And oftentimes we meet the restriction or the tight spot and we think, I got to change it. But with some ease, with just some stillness, with some breath, it starts to shift. Good. Inhale, rise up, out, and back to center. Notice how you feel after those two sort of really simple poses. And then cat-cow, knees together, or you go knees apart. Inhale, extend the heart, chest forward, cow, hold it, pull the belly up and in, grip the floor, take a full breath here. One more breath in, slow. Breathe into the sternum, into the belly. And then exhale, cat. Hold it, slide the back of the skull up, belly in. Now you breathe here into the back of the chest, the upper back, back of the heart. Back to a neutral spine, and it's down dog. Ready? Slide the knees back. Inhale, up and back. So here, this pose targets the backs of the legs, and it's going to require some strength in the upper body. Bend your knees as much as you need to. It's 3 breaths. I want you to explore with your feet. Does it feel better to have them closer to the hands? For me, that changes the amount of tension in the back of the legs. It adds. Does it feel better to have them further away from the hands? Feet together or feet wider apart? I'm going to shorten my stance a little bit today. And I start to access a little more stretch up into the hip. So what's the right dog? Well, really, it's your dog. As you listen, notice how it feels for you. If the arms start to get tired, bend your knees, take your hips back. With this last breath, I want you to try to breathe. Can you breathe all the way down into your feet? And as you exhale all the way down through the arms, length of the spine. Inhale, walk your feet forward towards your hands. Bend your knees. This pose will get the entire backhand side of the body, the spinal muscles, the backs of the legs. If the floor feels far away, use your hands up on a block or even on a chair, on a tabletop. And we're just going 3 breaths here. Breathe all the way into the hips. Exhale all the way out through the spine. Easy. If you draw the chin in, you're probably going to feel a little more stretch to the upper back. Inhale part way up. And exhale, take a seat. Good job. Take your legs wide. Now we're going to target the inner thighs. Now where I don't want you to feel it is behind the knee. So you just come forward. Notice when you meet the stretch. It's not, here's where the mind has to stop thinking like the goal is to get to the floor. What I want you to do is tune the mind into the sensation in the leg, and then use that awareness to treat the posture with a little bit of ease, a little bit of kindness. Just notice when you meet the stretch, be with it. Slow the breath down. I'm giving a little rock left to right. As I go to the right, I feel it more through the left adductor muscle, inner thigh. As I go to the left, I feel it more through the right. But for you, notice when you feel it. So the inhale helps us to fill up. The exhale helps us to release. Just noticing if there's anywhere you're gripping unnecessary. So we're working on the target of the inner thigh. And it doesn't have to be super intense. We're holding, tensioning the tissue. And if it's too much in your low back, then you might stay more long through the spine. Like I can go up through the spine, but lean forward, and it goes right into that target of the adductor. Almost there. You might even notice one side feels more intense than the other. You know, one side is a little bit tighter than the other. That's totally normal. to have a difference from the left to the right side of the body. Okay, for this last 10 seconds, can you be with your next breath? Hold steady. All the way in, all the way out, nice and easy. Inhale, rise it up. That's it. Good job. So all these poses will hold between 2 to 4 minutes. Bring the legs back together. Come onto your belly. So we're going Sphinx pose, elbows bent, or in Yin we call this seal. So what we're doing, we're going to consciously, purposely create some compression. Not compression that's like intense, but a little bit of compression. Here's the thing, anytime you do a back bend, you're creating this compression. Anytime you lean backwards, you create compression through the spine. But we're going to consciously do it for the next minute here. Now, if being on the forearms is too much, slide the forearms forward and come lower. So we're just working to create a little bit of awakening in the low back. And then the breath all the way in to that area of the low back. And the inhales, there's a fill up. On the exhales, can you soften? The exhale really, it's connected to the parasympathetic nervous system, to that rest, relax response. That's it. And then lower down. That's the back bend. So you can turn your head left or right, or rest your forehead on your forearms or the back of your hands. I want you to take a breath in and notice if there's anywhere that you're gripping, and just imagine it melting to the earth. Bring the hands to the sides of your chest. Tuck your toes under. We're going to go back to down dog to set us up for a pigeon pose. Inhale, and then exhale through the knees or press up and back. Down dog's like, that'll be the biggest, most sort of muscle required pose we're going to do today. Knees bent or legs straight. Stretch your hips back. Lengthen down through the legs. Take a full breath in. Be true to these breaths. These are key to finding ease, and all the way out. Inhale, right leg up. Exhale, right knee to right wrist. Target's going to be the right glute to stretch the outer hip. And bow forward. So if this one doesn't work for you, or it bothers your front knee, you can find a pose that does work for you to stretch the glute. One might be, come onto your back, cross the right ankle over left. If you have a wall, you can put your left foot on the wall, so you don't have to work so hard here. So you're looking for that stretch in the right glute. You're looking to tension the tissue. I'm going to stay with you on the back here. So you might be in pigeon, or you might be here on your back in eye of the needle. Can you breathe? I want you to try to take those inhales all the way into the hip, to the place you feel the tension, to the place that you're stretching. And as you exhale, can you soften? Softening the effort. I had the other day, someone's like, hey, bro, how do you breathe into your hip? Well, when you take a full inhale, your diaphragm starts to press down, the organs start to move down, and you start to send pressure into the pelvis with the inhale. So physically, you can influence the hips by breathing. And release the first side. If you're on your back, you can just switch it there. If you are in pigeon pose, come back to down dog and switch sides, left leg forward. If you're on your back, no problem, just left ankle over right, and then draw it in. So you target the left glute. You want to feel that tissue tension, but there's no like finish line. Huh? So oftentimes we think of, oh, I want to be more flexible. So then we do poses, and then as you start to practice yoga longer and longer, you're like, okay, well, where's the limit to this flexibility? Well, it's going to be in your joint ability or skeletability, the position of your bones. So flexibility, great, cool. What I really seek is to have enough strength in the tissue, so there is some tone, and enough elasticity, so I have good mobility. I gave up the fight for let me become as flexible as possible. Like, I'm not interested in it. I'm interested in having good mobility so I can surf, snowboard, play with my kids, jump on a trampoline, swim, bend over and pick something up. So we're almost there. Just noticing what and how do you find that stretch in the left glute. So you might shift to the right or left a little bit, tuck the pelvis under, or slide the sit bones up to the sky. Okay, for this last 10 seconds, I want me to take one breath all the way in, all the way out. See if you can't breathe into that hip. Really light up the area with the breath. And when you're ready, release it. Go back to down dog. Stretch it out. One more dog. Notice how the legs are feeling. Notice how the hips feel. You might lengthen your dog or shorten your dog. So down dog, go here. Get your heels on the floor. Well, it depends where your feet are. If you have a shorter stance between your hands, feet, that's easier for most. But I'm not necessarily concerned about where the heels are externally. I want to know, do you have that sensation through the backs of the legs? Right on. Knees down to the earth. All right, we're going to take the right foot forward, left leg back. So left leg goes back. Now this one, we're going to tension the tissue. These are called the hip flexors. So you might rock forward a little bit. You might rise up a little bit, come onto the thigh. This is called dragon. So we're looking to tension the tissue at the back front thigh. And it doesn't have to be super intense. Really bring your awareness to the sensation there. You might even take a little twist to the upper body. I take a little twist to the right. So just enough. This becomes really important sort of mantra in this practice. Just enough, and rather than external shape, listen to the internal sensation. And we're just here 1 minute. We don't hold this one super long. And we're going to transition from here into a thigh stretch. Slow the breath down. You might go back to breathing into the area that we're targeting, hip flexors. Now, if you feel like, oh, my mind keeps going, it's just normal. Even in meditation, your mind's gonna move. But if you focus on your exhales, it can help you to settle in, settle the mind, settle the body. That's it. Now, left hand to the floor. All right, we're gonna bend the back knee, hold the foot, and we're gonna go 1 minute thigh stretch. Right hand holds the left foot. Now, if you can't reach the foot, put your foot up on a chair, up on a sofa, against the wall. And then know everything you do with your hips will influence this pose. So whether the tailbone goes down or the tailbone lifts up. Use belly in, tailbone down will intensify for most of that thigh stretch. So you got your shin, then you have your knee, then you have your quadriceps, and above that you have the hip flexors. We've worked the hip flexors, now we're going down to the quad. "30 seconds to go." So in like a form and flow or a stronger class, we probably hold this maybe 30 seconds. Here we're in it for a minute. I want you to do it with ease. So not forcing. And your foot's in your hand, on the wall, on a sofa, and that's it. Release. Now take down dog and check out the difference from left to right. How does it feel for you? Just check it out. What does the left side feel like compared to the right side in your down dog? What does the front and back of that left leg feel like? Like for me, the whole left side feels more open. I can feel more breath, more what we call in yoga prana through it, energy. Knees to the floor. All right, second side. Step the left foot up, rise up. You can open up your stance a little if you like. We're looking to target the tissue at the hip flexors in the right leg. So you can go hands floor or up on the thigh. I take the arm on the thigh. I go forward slightly and it turns just a little bit towards my right. So 1 minute on the hip flexor. And it's cool to see this side feels way less sort of bound up than the other side. But I don't force it into like deeper shape necessarily. I just like notice, okay, this side is a little freer today. And if you find like one side is way different than the other side, just know this is completely normal. Like there's nothing strange about that. There's even a word in Sanskrit. It's called vikrokti. It means everything is slightly askew, slightly off center. That's it. Then touch the floor. So we got the top hip flexor. Now we're going to go quadriceps, 4 muscles below, bend the knee, grab the foot. So what you do with your belly, with your hips, will influence the stretch in the back thigh. This foot can go against a wall, in your hand, or even up on a chair. Draw the belly in, tailbone down. Will increase the tension in the front of the thigh. You might say, well, how much tension should there be? So as you're stretching, I say anywhere stretching from 5 to 50%. 1 to 50%. And notice as there's like my front toes, I'm just gripping them on the floor. I just relax them. My breath, start to hold. So then I come back to it. You bring this sense of ease into the pose. 3, 2, and then exhale, release it. And here's down dog. I think I said a few times, last down dog. This really is our last down dog. This is it. Stretch it out. Walk your feet up towards your hands. Now you might bend the knees, or I'm going to work straight legs here. We're going to go 3 breaths, forward fold. Check it. If you got a back project, like you're working on anything in the back, you might use a block or come up higher. You might even bend the knees. Here I can still feel that stretch, tension through the back of the leg, like beautiful, that's good. If you want a little more, you might bow forward. Now you're adding that tissue, you're getting that pull from the arch of the foot all the way up really to the crown of the head. And if that's too much, if you know that's too much, then reduce the pull from low back to crown of head by coming up. 3 breaths. I call that about 1 minute. Breathing all the way into the hips. All the way out through the spine. Inhale, part way up, lengthen. Exhale, come all the way down, take a seat. So this next one, you can do on your back or you can do it seated. It's called cow face pose. If you need to, you can sit up on a block or blanket for some height. Sometimes when I teach yin, I don't know why I feel like Bob Ross, you know, the painter. Cross the right leg over the left. A happy little cow face pose. All right, so the right leg over the left, we're targeting the glutes again. The top leg, it's the right glute is our target. Now, if this is too much for your knees or low back, do it on your back. Just lay down, take the same form through the legs. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, start to bring it forward. Notice when you meet the stretch in the glute. So again, any 1% to 50% stretch. Doesn't have to be super intense. And feel free to do this one on your back. No problem, you can always do this one on your back. So today with this theme of ease, just once you meet that tension, that area that's being stretched, rather than thinking you have to dominate it, force it, make it go deeper, just meet the tension at the edge. Just approach it with the breath. Here, take one more inhale. On the exhale, I want you to soften the body. Inhale, rise up. Stretch the legs out. We're going to go second side. So note, remember, the exhale helps to really down regulate, and you'll notice a softening in the tissue and the joints. Cross the left leg over top. Do this one on your back if you need to. This might be different than the other side. If you get knee pain, come onto the back. So our inhales really fill us, help us to meet our external, the body boundary. Bow forward. Helps us to make space through the skeleton. The exhale, soften us. Let us melt more deeper into ourselves, into the state of rest. If it's too much on your low back or knees, take it to the back. Lay on your back. And if you let the head hang and it feels like too much, you can always prop it up with the hand, or you just slide the back of the skull up with some support. One more breath. I like to let my last exhale be long and let the body melt, and then inhale, rise up. Right on, good job. Stretch the legs out. All right, actually, bend your knees. Easier to get on your back. And then come onto your back. We're going to go into a reclined crescent pose. So, it's nice. I like this one. You might use a blanket for this one, because there's some of us crescent, it feels like we're tipping over. So you can use the blanket under the hip. I'll show you how that goes. Take both legs over to your right. Take your upper body over to the right. And then if you're using the blanket, you can use it under the left hip as we crescent right. The hands can go on the heart if you want more arms overhead. Here we're looking to target the obliques, the side of the body. You might even go a little further down. You might hit the TFL, tensor fascia lata, part of the thigh, if you cross the left foot over the right. Slowing it down, find your breath. Two minutes. You notice you can even breathe slower than you were. You're still going to get enough oxygen, probably more. The breath works best in the body when we're balancing oxygen and CO2. We need the balance. If it's just oxygen, we tend to go up. Our mind goes up. Our energy goes up. We tend to hyperventilate. It's like moments of challenge, fear. So one of the best things we can do is slow down the breath. Notice for me, when a pose becomes uncomfortable, I speed up the breath to try to rush through the pose. And so you slow it down. That's it. And then back to center. Remove the blanket if you have it under the hip. Stretch the leg out. And then just notice. You don't even have to do anything. Sometimes the most profound thing we can do is just to notice. Just feel what you feel. What's the difference between left and right? How does the body feel after you stretch one side? Okay, take the blanket over towards the right hip now. So look, we're influencing tissue for sure, but you're also influencing the mind and also influencing what we call prana in the body, the energy. Like if you ever done Tai Chi, had acupuncture, done martial arts. This is all, we're working up these, opening these channels. So start to take the feet over to left, upper body over to the left, and you might cross the right leg over top. Hands on the heart or overhead. 2 minutes. And we're going into this oblique stretch. The obliques from the rib cage down to the hips, side of the body. If you feel it anywhere else, it's a bonus. I gotta get it down into my right thigh too. So after 20 years of yoga, I realized the most profound yoga is it's the simple. Find your breath, lengthen, slow down the breath. It's only taken me 20 years to do. And to notice and meet the sensation rather than chasing a final shape of the pose or judging our practice based on how far the pose goes. Good enough is wherever you're in the pose and meet the sensation. Target here, obliques. Slow the breath down. This breath slower, longer than the last. As you exhale, notice if there's any grip. Let the breath go as you let the body go. Almost there. Just scanning the body for any held tension. And back to middle. Right on. Find your center. Move your blanket. If you have a strap, you might use it for this next one. So this next one, we're going left leg up. Stretching the back of the leg, hamstrings. Strap the foot. So you can hold either end of the strap so you can let the shoulders relax. And here we go. If you don't have a strap, hands behind the thigh. Your right leg, knee can be bent or leg straight. I'm going leg straight. Two minutes here. Now, whatever you do with your foot, whether you point the foot or flex the foot, whether you bend your knee or straighten your leg, whether your sit bones go down or up, all these things will have an impact influence in the pose, including how far you bring your foot towards your head or how far you bring it away. I want you to find the appropriate amount of tension in the back of your leg, and I want to set you free to explore. Do I point my foot? Do I flex it? Do I bend the knee? And when you find a nice spot that sings a little bit, just be with it. And on your inhales, take them all the way into that left leg. And as you exhale, soften the tissue. Soften the body. It might even help. Eyes closed can help For some, staring at the area that we're working on can help. You might even look at that left leg. As you breathe in and out, use that as your focal point. You might close the eyes and make the focal point really the sensation. Noticing any movement or change that you make through the foot, knee, might change the pose. That's it. Press up through that left leg. Now release it down to the floor and just let it be there. If this is the only pose you did today, this is a great one. And I notice a big difference from left to right after it. Notice the weight of that leg, of the left leg compared to the right. Notice the sensation in it. Does it feel easier to let it relax and be on the ground? That's it. Bend both knees, right leg up. Last one, last pose, last side. Strap the foot. Left knee can be bent or leg straight. You can flex your foot, point your foot, bend your knee. Take your hips down. And all of these will influence where you feel the stretch. Different day, I do different things. Now on my right leg, I turn my toes out slightly. I straighten the leg and I draw the leg towards me, towards the chest. And then once I meet the tension, I don't try to beat it and go further. I just meet it, be with it, and open up the channels of the tissue. You might have eyes open or eyes closed. And focusing on that limb as part of the whole of the body. Focusing on the sensation in that limb. One more full breath in. And all the way out. And then releasing the right leg down to the floor. Good job. And then pause. Just notice, let the bones be heavy. Notice the sensation in the legs and the feet, maybe even through the hips. Bend your knees. Take both knees over to your left. Take the right shoulder towards the floor. You might even come into a little bit, almost of a back bend here. The ribs lift up, twist. Sometimes I'll even do this one, a blanket under the lower ribs as I twist. Knees up to center, and then knees over to the right. I'm going to put a little arch in the back, shoulders down, because that's what feels good today. You might go more long spine. Slow the breath down. Easy. And back to center. Right on. Grab the edges of your yoga mat. Feet a little wider than the hips. I'm going to inhale, lift the hips up. So the hips go up. They don't have to go super high. And then lean to your right, take your left shoulder under, take your right shoulder under. Pull the yoga mat like you're trying to pull it from under your feet. Now inhale, lift the chest. Inhale, let the chest lift. Open up through the heart. Breath all the way out. One more inhale. And all the way down. Back to the earth. Lengthen the back again. Draw the legs in. Give yourself a little squeeze. Cross the right ankle over the left. Squeeze the legs in. Toe on the pelvic floor. Take a deep breath in. Let it all the way out. Right on. Let the knees fall away from you. Left leg over the right. Rock on your low back. So you're rolling out that tissue around the sacrum, opening up that tissue around the top of the hips. And that's all she wrote. Then you just stretch the legs out. The hands can even go overhead. I like to put the arms overhead sometimes. Feels good. Or you might go arms wide. Feet wide. Just let the feet fall whatever direction feels like they want to go. Just be here for 1 minute. This is the end. It's this 1 minute rebound after the practice. Slowing the breath and letting the breath do its thing. Softening any effort. So this part of the practice is the unwind. So you can go arms overhead at your side, or you may even go hands on your belly. Sometimes your warm hands on the belly or the ribs can feel grounding. Let the mind fall towards the back of the skull. The weight fall. Be supported by the earth. Releasing the hips, the area, the base of the ribs, the area of the throat, the eyes, the jaw. Then when you're ready, you can bend the knee, roll to your side, and pause for a moment. And in your own time. So you can keep resting back or come up to seated. May these practices of awareness, of physical practice, of breathing, help us to find the space of pause, of ease in our life that I feel like right now and always we can use and we need. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Have an awesome day. And I will see you all again. My name's Kenny Graham. Take it easy, y'all.